My son said I was too old for his life. Weeks later, I got a letter from a lawyer revealing his secret. Hi everyone. Before we get into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed that the channel's reach has been dropping a bit, and one of the best ways you can support us is by subscribing. It's quick, free, and helps us keep bringing you new and interesting stories. Your support means the world to us, and together, we can grow this channel. Thank you so much. Now let's get to today's story. I'm writing from a temporary account for obvious reasons, and I've changed some details to protect my anonymity. I remember the sound of his voice that evening. Steady, detached. As if he were speaking not to me, but to a stranger on the street who needed directions, quickly, without unnecessary emotion, just to get it over with. Mom, you don't understand my world. It's awkward when you're around. You're too old for my life. I stood in the doorway of his apartment. The same one I'd paid the down payment for 3 years ago with my last savings. In my hands was a container with a pie. He'd always loved my apple pie with cinnamon. I'd baked it that morning, still in the dark, because I knew he had an important meeting today. Too old. Those words entered me quietly, almost soundlessly, like a knife wrapped in cloth. I didn't realize immediately that I'd been wounded. I understand. Sorry to bother you. I set the container on the shelf by the door, turned around, walked to the elevator. He didn't stop me, didn't call out. The door behind my back closed with a soft click, careful, almost considerate, as if that's how it should be. In the elevator, I looked at my reflection in the metal doors, gray hair that I'd stopped dyeing a year ago. Why bother, I'd thought, it's natural. A face with lines around the eyes. A coat bought at a sale 5 years ago. Worn down boots. Too old. I didn't cry, didn't even want to. Inside was emptiness, cold, like winter air through an open window. Artem was born in May. I remember the doctor placing him on my chest, wet, screaming, warm. And I thought then, that's it. Now I'm not alone. Now I have you. His father left when Artem was 8 months old. Left a note on the refrigerator. Sorry, not ready. I never saw him again. I worked as a nurse at the district clinic during day shifts. In the evenings, I took side jobs at home, sewing curtains on commission, typing documents, babysitting other people's children. I slept 4 hours a night. Artem grew up cheerful, smart, talented. He drew, sang, read voraciously. I saved every penny for his future. When he was 7, he asked, Mom, why don't we ever have money for toys? Because toys are temporary, but education is forever. He nodded seriously. Never asked again. In 11th grade, he got into a lyceum attached to the university. It was expensive. I took out a loan. At 19, he graduated with honors. I was so proud I couldn't breathe. Mom, thank you. I'll pay you back for everything, I promise. I believed him. I always believed him. The first signs were subtle. Small things I didn't pay attention to because I thought, he's growing up. This is normal. He got a job at a large IT company as a project manager. The salary was good. New clothes, new phone, new friends. I was happy. Wasn't this what I'd dreamed of? For him to live better than I did? But gradually, something began to change. He called less often. When I visited, he was polite but distracted. He'd glance at his watch. He'd say, Mom, sorry, I have a meeting in an hour. Maybe another time? Of course. I don't want to be in the way. One day, I stopped by his office. I brought him lunch because I knew he forgot to eat when he was busy. The receptionist called him down. Artem came down, took the bag, but didn't invite me upstairs. Mom, that's not how things work here. This is an office. Everything's strict. I understand. But in his eyes, I saw something else. Shame. He was ashamed of me. Then there was that gathering, his company's corporate party. He invited me reluctantly after I asked, Can I come? I want to see where you work. Well, okay. I wore my best dress, did my hair, arrived on time. The restaurant was expensive, with high ceilings and crystal chandeliers. People around me were young, polished, laughing loudly. Artem introduced me to his colleagues awkwardly. "This is my mother." No one asked a single question. Someone nodded, someone smiled stiffly, and then everyone turned back to their conversations, and I stood at the edge like a spare part. I left after half an hour. Artem didn't even notice. The next time I came without warning. I just wanted to see him. I missed him. He opened the door in home clothes, expensive, stylish. Behind him I saw a girl on the couch, beautiful, well-groomed, with perfect nails. "Mom, did you let me know you were coming?" "No, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were busy. I'm busy. We're discussing important matters." "Of course, I'll leave now. I just wanted to give you a pie." "Don't. Mom, I don't need pie. I'm on a diet. And anyway," he fell silent, looked at me with a long gaze, assessing, cold. And then he spoke those words. "Mom, you don't understand my world. It's awkward when you're around. You're too old for my life." Silence. The girl on the couch looked at her phone, pretending not to hear. I nodded silently, set the container on the shelf, left. I didn't call him, didn't text, didn't try to explain. What was there to explain? He'd told the truth. His truth. The first few days I spent lying on the couch, staring at the ceiling. Inside was a strange emptiness, not pain, not anger, just emptiness. Then I began to fill it, with small things, quiet activities. I went out to the garden, planted roses, trimmed old branches on the apple tree, sorted through books and donated half to the library. Started taking long walks in the park alone, with a thermos of tea. I was learning to live without him. And you know what? It became easier. Not good, not joyful, just easier. As if I'd taken off a heavy backpack I'd been carrying for 23 years. The letter arrived on a Wednesday. I remember because on Wednesdays I always bake bread, rye, with sourdough. The smell of warm dough filled the kitchen when someone rang the doorbell. The mailman handed me an envelope, thick, white, with an official seal. Larina and Partners, Law Firm. I signed, closed the door, sat at the table. I stared at the envelope for a long time. Then I tore it open with trembling fingers. Inside were several sheets, a cover letter, copies of documents. I read slowly, one word at a time, because I couldn't believe my eyes. Dear Elena Sergeyevna, this letter is to inform you that we have discovered legally significant violations related to the disposal of your property. According to documents, you own a plot of land measuring 12 acres in the village of Sosnovka, inherited from your mother in 2008. This plot was registered in your name with Rosregister. We recently learned that this plot was sold in September of this year to citizen A.P. Smirnov for 4 million rubles. The transaction was executed through a power of attorney that, according to documents, you granted to your son, Artem Alexeyevich Knyazev, on August 15th. However, when verifying the authenticity of the signature, our client, Mr. Smirnov, doubted the legality of the transaction. According to handwriting analysis, the signature on the power of attorney is not yours. We are contacting you to request confirmation or denial of the fact that you issued this power of attorney. In case of confirmation of document forgery, we are prepared to offer you legal support. I kept reading, but the words blurred before my eyes. The plot. The same one Mom had left me before she died. Small, overgrown, with a crooked little house. I hadn't been there in years. No time, no energy. But it was mine. The only thing I had left from my mother. And Artem had sold it. By forging my signature, 4 million rubles. I folded the letter, put it on the table, stood up, walked to the window. Outside it was evening. A streetlight flickered. The neighbor's cat sat on the fence. Inside me, something broke. Quietly. Finally. I didn't go to my son immediately. First I went to the lawyer's. The office was downtown, in an old building with tall windows. A middle-aged woman met me, stern, wearing glasses. "Mrs. Knyazeva?" "Please sit down." I sat. She poured water into a glass, pushed it toward me. I know this is difficult. Take your time. I pulled out the letter, laid it on the desk. Is this real? Did he really? She nodded. The handwriting analysis confirmed it. The signature on the power of attorney is forged. Your son sold your property without your knowledge or consent. This is fraud. Fraud. The word hung in the air. What happens now? We can file a criminal complaint, cancel the transaction, return the property to you. Your son could face criminal charges. But, she paused. But you're his mother. This is your decision. We need your consent to proceed. I sat in silence. The clock on the wall ticked. Could face charges. Criminal. My son. The boy I'd raised, fed, clothed, sent to school, whose forehead I'd kissed every night before bed. I need to think. Of course. Take your time. But the statute of limitations. I know. I'll let you know. I stood, shook her hand. Left. I walked through the city for hours. Past shops, cafes, parks. People rushed by, talking on phones, laughing, living their lives. I tried to understand. How? How does it happen that a person you gave life to, whose first word was mama, becomes someone who steals from you? 4 million rubles. How much had I spent on him over the years? On diapers, toys, books, doctors, tutors, university, apartment? How many nights had I worked? How many meals had I skipped so he could have more? And he thought I was too old to understand. He thought I wouldn't find out. Or maybe he just didn't care. By the time I reached his building, it was dark. Lights glowed in windows. Somewhere a dog barked. I stood outside for 10 minutes. Then I went inside. He opened the door in sweatpants and a t-shirt. His face showed surprise, then wariness. Mom? What are you? I need to talk to you. Now's not really a good time. Now. Something in my voice made him step back. I walked inside. The apartment was messy. Pizza boxes on the counter. Laptop open on the couch. The girl from before was gone. I pulled the envelope from my purse. Laid it on the coffee table. Read this. What is it? Read it. He picked it up, opened it. I watched his face as he read. Watched the color drain. Watched his hands start to shake. Mom, I can explain. You forged my signature. You sold my mother's land. 4 million rubles. Where is it, Artem? He sat down. Put his head in his hands. I needed the money. For what? Business investment. I was going to tell you. I was going to pay you back with interest, I swear. You were going to tell me? When? After you'd spent it all? It's not like you were using it. That plot's been sitting there for years, rotting. It was mine. My voice cracked. I took a breath. It was mine. My mother left it to me. The only thing I had from her. You had no right. I know. I'm sorry. I thought. You thought I was too old to understand. Too old to notice. Silence. That's not. I didn't mean. What did you mean? When you said I was too old for your life, what did you mean? He looked up at me. His eyes were red. I was stressed. I didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it? I don't know. You don't fit into my world, okay? My colleagues, my friends, they have different parents. Parents with money, with connections, with what? Style? Youth? Parents who aren't an embarrassment? He flinched. That's not fair. Fair? You want to talk about fair? I raised you alone. I worked 2 jobs. I went into debt for your education. I gave you everything. And this is what I get? Theft? Shame? Mom, don't call me that. I picked up the envelope. The lawyers asked if I want to press charges. They said you could go to prison for fraud. Mom, please. I told them I'd think about it. His face went white. You wouldn't I? Give me one reason why I shouldn't. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Because I'm your son. I looked at him, really looked at him. This man I'd given my life to. This stranger. You know what the saddest part is? You think being my son means you can do anything, take anything, that I'll always forgive you because I'm your mother, that I'm too old, too weak, too loving to stand up for myself. That's not. But you're wrong. I'm not too old. I'm old enough to know the difference between love and being used, between sacrifice and being discarded. I turned toward the door. Wait, what are you going to do? I stopped. Didn't turn around. I'm going to do what I should have done weeks ago. I'm going to choose myself. 3 days later, I signed the papers. The lawyers filed the complaint. The transaction was voided. The land came back to me. Artem called 17 times. I didn't answer. He sent texts. Please, Mom, I'm sorry. I'll pay you back. Don't do this. We can work this out. I blocked his number. The police came to question him. According to the lawyers, he confessed immediately. Cried. Said he'd made a terrible mistake. Begged for leniency. The prosecutor offered a deal. Restitution, probation, community service. No prison time if I agreed. I agreed. Not for him. For myself. Because I didn't want to spend the next year testifying, reliving this, tying myself to his choices. I wanted to be free. 2 months later, I received a check, 4 million rubles. Every penny returned. I sat at my kitchen table, holding it. Such a thin piece of paper, so much weight. I could keep it, save it, use it for retirement, for repairs, for rainy days. Or, I endorsed it, wrote a note, for your future children, so they never have to choose between pride and survival. I put it in an envelope, mailed it to him, and then I sold the land. Really sold it, legally, to a young couple who wanted to build a home there. They reminded me of myself at that age. Hopeful, hardworking, kind. I used half the money to pay off my old debts. The other half I donated to a scholarship fund for single mothers going back to school. When the administrator asked what name to put on the scholarship, I said, Anonymous. Just say it's from someone who knows what it's like. Spring came. I planted a garden, tomatoes, cucumbers, herbs. I joined a book club at the library, started volunteering at a community center, teaching sewing to teenage girls. One evening, I was watering the roses when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Mom? His voice was different, smaller, uncertain. I said nothing. Mom, I know you blocked me. I'm calling from a friend's phone. I wanted to say I'm sorry, really sorry. I've been going to therapy, trying to understand how I could. He trailed off. I got your check, and your note. I'm putting it in a trust. I'm not touching it. You're right. If I ever have kids, they should know what you did. What you gave up. What I threw away. I listened to him breathe. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even know if I deserve to ask. But I want you to know that I understand now. What I lost. Who you are. You thought I was too old for your life. But the truth is, I was too old to be treated like I didn't matter. I lived long enough to know better. I know that now. Silence stretched between us. Goodbye, Artem. Wait, will you ever? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. But I need you to understand something. I loved you. I still love you. But love doesn't mean letting someone destroy you. Sometimes love means walking away. I hung up. People ask me if I regret it. Turning in my own son. Not forgiving him immediately. Being hard. I tell them, I don't regret choosing myself. For 23 years, every choice I made was for him. When he told me I was too old, he didn't just insult me. He released me. Because he was right about one thing. I am old. Old enough to know my worth. Old enough to demand respect. Old enough to understand that sacrifice without reciprocity isn't love. It's surrender. And I'm done surrendering. Now I live for myself. I wake up when I want. Read books that interest me. Spend money on things that bring me joy. I'm learning pottery. I'm planning a trip to the sea. Sometimes, late at night, I think about him. Wonder if he's eating enough. If he's warm. If he's happy. Old habits die hard. But then I remember his voice. too old for my life. And I think, maybe I was. Maybe his life was meant to be lived without me in it. Maybe we both needed to learn that being someone's mother doesn't mean being their doormat. He thought age made me irrelevant, but it made me invincible, because I've lived long enough to know that the people who call you too old are really saying you're too wise to fool, too strong to break, too valuable to waste on their smallness. I'm not too old. I'm exactly the right age to finally put myself first, and that, in the end, is freedom.